Have you ever felt like you're just sort of floating through life? You set these huge, inspiring
Oh,
goals.
yeah, like New Year's resolutions.
Exactly. You want to write 1,000 words a day, or launch that side business, or lose a ton of weight. But then, a few weeks later, the motivation is just gone.
And you're right back where you started.
Yeah.
And you feel like you're no closer to the person you actually want to be.
That feeling of stagnation, it's so common. And it turns out it comes from a basic mistake in how we even think about change.
It really does. And that's why today we're doing a deep dive into James Clear's framework from Atomic Habits. It's a solution set, really, not just for results, but for changing your systems so the good habits become automatic, inevitable even.
Right.
So our mission today is to give you a shortcut to that core philosophy. We're focusing on the profound power of tiny, tiny changes. And I think the best way to get this is the airplane analogy.
It's the perfect illustration. So imagine a plane flying from New York heading to Los Angeles.
Now, right before takeoff, the pilot adjusts the navigation by just a tiny amount, a 3-degree shift. On the ground, this moves the nose of the plane by maybe 80 inches.
80 inches, so less than 7 feet. In the cockpit, you wouldn't even register that as an error.
Not at all. It seems completely insignificant. But if you maintain that 3-degree shift for the entire flight across the country,
You're not landing in LA.
you're not even close. You end up near Tijuana, Mexico.
Yeah.
The action was tiny, but the change in destination is just profound, and that's the whole idea we're unpacking.
Okay, let's unpack this. The core idea is that these tiny changes in our daily habits, so small we barely notice them today, they compound over time to change the entire trajectory of our lives.
It completely rejects that old wisdom that you need some monumental effort for monumental success.
Right, we're all wired to expect that quantum leap. We think success needs massive, headline-grabbing action. The all-nighter, the dramatic diet overhaul.
The instant mastery of a new skill,
Yeah, if I start learning Spanish, I want to be fluent in 30 days. Anything less feels like failure.
and that expectation is the biggest killer of new habits. Clear's whole argument is that success is not a once-in-a-lifetime transformation. It's just the product of daily habits.
It's the small improvements that compound.
Exactly, creating this incredible non-linear change.
Let's get into the math on that because the numbers are just astonishing. The 1% rule, what does that actually look like over a year?
It's the power of compounding, which
Oh.
is just exponential. So if you get just 1% better every single day for a year,
Just 1%.
you end up nearly 38 times better than when you started. It's a staggering return on an investment so small you barely even felt it.
38 times better. That puts the whole idea of small wins in a completely different light. It makes you realize you can't judge your progress based on last week.
And the inverse is, well, it's a quiet disaster. Being 1% worse every day for a year basically brings you down to zero.
The system is always running.
Always. Your habits are either compounding for you, building knowledge, health, relationships, or they're compounding against you, building stress, debt, negative self-talk.
But if these small actions are so powerful, why do we all quit? Why do we start with great intentions and then just stop after a few weeks? This gets to the biggest emotional hurdle, right?
What's fascinating here is the truth about progress. It rarely matches what we expect. We expect it to be a straight line. You put in effort, you see results.
Linear progress.
But actual progress is usually this long, flat line and then a sudden, steep upward curve.
That flat line is the killer. That's when you've been dieting for 3 weeks and the scale hasn't budged, or you've sent 20 sales emails and gotten 0 replies.
You're putting in the work, but you see no visible return. And Clear calls this the valley of disappointment. It's where all the latent potential is building up under the surface, but you can't see it.
And that's where you quit. You tell yourself the system is broken, the effort is wasted.
Or that you just don't have what it takes. It's the moment you have to have patience. The most powerful outcomes of compounding are always delayed. You have to keep making that 3-degree shift until you hit what he calls the plateau of latent potential.
Which is when the curve finally shoots up. So, to get through that valley, we have to shift our focus away from the outcome. And this is where Clear's central, almost controversial thesis comes in.
It's the core mantra of the whole philosophy. Forget about goals, focus on systems instead.
No, wait, I have to challenge this a little. We live in a world of goals. My mortgage payment is a goal. My performance review targets are goals. If I only focus on the system, on budgeting, without that urgent outcome of paying my bills, I might not have the motivation. How do you balance that?
That's a great point, and it's a crucial distinction. Goals are vital for setting a direction. They tell you what field you're playing on.
Okay.
But systems would actually win the game. A goal is the result, the outcome. A system is the collection of processes that leads to those results.
And the problem with only focusing on goals is that they don't separate winners from losers. Every single athlete at the Olympics has the goal of winning gold.
Exactly. Every business owner wants to increase revenue. The goal itself is common. What separates them is their system for daily practice, for training, for customer outreach.
And achieving a goal, it only changes your life for a moment. I mean, think about the runner who only cares about finishing the marathon. What happens the day after they cross that finish line?
Motivation just evaporates. They often feel lost or they slide right back into their old habits because the whole purpose was that one external thing.
A system, though, that's a commitment to just continuous improvement.
Right. Goals set the direction, but systems are for making progress. And the key to building a system that lasts is understanding the 3 layers of behavior change.
So most of us start at the wrong layer. We focus on layer 1, outcomes, the results we want, 20 pounds lost, a published book.
That's the least effective layer. Layer 2 is the process, what you actually do, the workout, the writing schedule. But the most powerful layer, layer 3, is identity, what you believe about yourself.
So we're not aiming for the result. We have to aim for the person we want to become.
It's a complete shift in focus. The goal isn't to lose weight, it's to become a healthy person. The goal isn't to write a book, it's to become a writer.
Because every action you take is a vote for that identity. Every time I skip dessert, I'm casting a vote for being a healthy person. Every time I practice my chords.
You're casting a vote for being a musician. And that tiny piece of evidence builds momentum. Your identity provides this internal scaffolding that goals just can't sustain you through that valley of disappointment.
Okay, so that brings us to the mechanics. We know who we want to be, but how do we translate that into actual physical action? This is the habit loop.
Right. A habit becomes automatic through a 4-step feedback loop. Cue, craving, response, and reward. The cue triggers the craving, which leads to the response, and the reward satisfies that craving, which reinforces the whole cycle.
Like a bad habit loop. The cue is feeling stressed at work. The craving is the desire to escape that feeling.
The response is picking up your phone and scrolling social media.
And the reward is that temporary distraction, that little hit of relief. And that process just gets faster and more unconscious every single time.
So, to change that loop, Clear gives us the 4 laws of behavior change. The first law deals with the cue. Make it obvious.
And before you can make it obvious, you have to be aware of what you're even doing. Most of our day is run by these unconscious cues.
Exactly. That's where the habit scorecard comes in. It's a really practical tool. You literally write down every single behavior from waking up to sleeping, and you mark it. Plus, minus, or neutral.
You're making the unconscious conscious. There's that Carl Jung quote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate."
Right. And once you're aware, you need clarity. This is the implementation intention. Saying, I will read more is too vague. It's useless. The system needs a formula. I will behavior at time and location.
So not just I'll meditate, but I will meditate for 10 minutes at 7 a.m. in the kitchen before I make coffee. It removes all the decision fatigue. The decision's already been made for you.
And you can stack these new habits onto existing ones. It's called habit stacking. After current habit, I will new habit.
So after I brush my teeth, I will stretch for 5 minutes.
Exactly. Which leads us to environment design. You've said this before, that our environment is the invisible hand that shapes our behavior.
It's so true.
It just means that motivation is fundamentally overrated. We're way more influenced by what's visible and easy. So you have to make the cues for your good habits obvious. Leave the running shoes by the door, put the vitamins next to the coffee maker.
And the reverse is true for bad habits. If I want to stop eating junk food, I have to make it invisible. Don't just hide it in a cupboard, put it in the garage, or, just don't buy it.
Right. Increase the friction, which we'll get to. But yes, eliminate the cue. And importantly, use that mantra. One space, one use. If your desk is for work, don't watch Netflix there. Don't pay bills there. Context matters.
Okay, that sets up law 2, which tackles the craving. Make it attractive. And this gets into the biochemistry of desire. Dopamine.
Yeah, and dopamine isn't just the pleasure molecule, it's the motivation molecule. The really surprising research here shows that dopamine doesn't just spike when we experience pleasure, but when we anticipate it.
During the craving.
During the craving.
Yeah.
That's why endless scrolling on Zillow or Pinterest feels good. You're anticipating the reward, the perfect house, the perfect project, even if you never actually do anything. The anticipation is the driver.
So how do we use that?
Through something called temptation bundling. It's basically combining something you need to do with something you want to do. But you only get the reward after the effort.
So I can bundle listening to my favorite true crime podcast, which I want to do, with doing the laundry, which I need to do. The hard habit becomes the gateway to the fun one.
You got it. And we can also tap into our ancient human need for social acceptance. We are tribal creatures. If you want a habit to stick, join a culture where that habit is the norm.
So if I want to get serious about cycling, I should join the local cycling club. I should hang out with fit people. My desire for group acceptance becomes a stronger pull than my own willpower.
Precisely. And you can even reprogram the language you use. Instead of saying, ugh, I have to go for a run, which sounds like a sacrifice, you reframe it. I get to build my endurance and clear my head.
You associate the hard task with the positive identity. Okay, so on to Law 3, which is about the response. Make it easy.
The big idea here is that habit formation is really about the number of repetitions, not the amount of time. It's about frequency over duration, just getting those reps in to build the neural circuits.
And Law 3 is all about reducing friction. It's the law of least effort. Our brains are wired to conserve energy, so if a habit requires a lot of energy, we're probably not going to do it.
You're always fighting that friction. That's why we have to prime the environment. You automate the setup, you lay out your workout clothes the night before, you prep the coffee machine, you take away the decision points for your future self.
And to beat procrastination, the best tool for this is the 2-minute rule.
It's brilliant. You just scale down any habit to a version that takes 2 minutes or less. The whole point is just to master the art of showing up.
So run 10 miles becomes put on my running shoes and stretch for 2 minutes. And write for an hour becomes open my laptop and type 1 sentence.
The point is to just start, because once you've started that little 3-degree shift, momentum usually takes over.
And for bad habits, you flip the script. You increase the friction, make it impractical, unplug the TV and put the remote in another room, freeze your credit card and block of ice to stop impulse buys.
Which brings us to the final law, Law 4. This is the one that makes a habit stick. Make it satisfying. This is the most important rule for making sure you repeat the behavior.
Yeah, because what is immediately rewarded is repeated. The first 3 laws get you to do the habit once. This law makes you want to do it again.
And the big problem with good habits exercise, saving money, is the mismatch. The pain is immediate, but the reward is delayed by weeks, months, even years.
And bad habits are the opposite. Immediate pleasure, delayed pain.
So we have to engineer a little bit of immediate pleasure into the good habits. We need to create visual measures of success, even in a small way.
This is where a simple habit tracker works so well. That physical act of crossing a day off a calendar, it's a reward signal. It feels good. Or moving a paperclip from one jar to another after you make a sales call.
And crucially, you need a plan for when you fail, because life will always interrupt you. The rule is simple. Never miss twice. It's far better to do 10 push-ups on a bad day than to do 0.
Because lost days hurt you more than the successful days help you, you risk breaking that identity you're trying to build.
And to break a bad habit, you need to make it immediately unsatisfying, usually with an outside enforcer.
An accountability partner.
Yeah, you create a habit contract. You need to enforce concrete, immediate pain because we are all wired to avoid punishment and losing respect.
So I owe you $20 every single time I check social media during my focused work time. That immediate, tangible pain is the key.
It's the psychological lever. That immediate loss ensures the behavior is avoided way more effectively than some abstract long-term goal ever could.
So what does this all mean? The core insight here is that success isn't really about setting these huge goals. It's about building the right system for continuous change. The foundation is defining the identity you want, and then using the 4 laws to cast those small daily votes for that identity.
If we connect this back to the bigger picture, I mean, almost everyone listening is probably in the valley of disappointment with something right now. But by building these atomic habits, these tiny 1% shifts, we guarantee we're making that 3-degree change. We ensure we land in our desired LA, not Tijuana.
So your actionable takeaway right now is simple. Find your strongest, most automatic trigger cue. Is it your morning coffee, turning off your alarm, sitting at your desk? Use that as the anchor for your very first habit stack. Start small and just get the system running.
And as you design that first stack, maybe take a second to think about which of your current habits are really just modern solutions to ancient human motives. Are you defaulting to your phone to reduce uncertainty? Are you buying that thing you don't need to seek status? Knowing the deep motive a habit serves makes it so much easier to design a better one.